switching gears a little bit, but it's another improvement to the community. The Nauck neighborhood, the board approved a swimming pool project. Now we've seen a lot of really interesting improvements to the Nauck neighborhood in recent years. We've talked about it now and then, but let's talk about this one specifically. Where did this come about? How did this come about?
Well, you know, in many ways, this is sort of a back to the future concept because there is a swimming pool that exists that's been closed down, but it was actually active in the 60s through the 90s. The old Veterans YMCA, there was an active swimming pool there, very important in the Nauck neighborhood's history. And for a variety of reasons, it just hasn't been operating. And the Macedonia Baptist Church, which owns it now, wants to reopen it for community use and also to have a partnership with the Water Polo Association. And as part of that, they have plans for a $7 million pool that they're going to work with a private investor to go ahead and build. And it's going to create new swim lane facilities, 7 new swim lane facilities. Also make it a 4-season pool by putting a dome on top of it. And then also constructing a 2-story building that's going to have facilities to service the pool, lockers, showers, as well as a floor of community rooms, which is always necessary. So you've got a really interesting project that's going to serve a lot of needs. Reopening a pool that many people remember fondly, providing much needed pool space in Arlington, but at the same time also providing some good community space as well.
Okay, and we were talking about that. How does this really fit into the vision for Nauck? I mean, especially these community spaces. How does this really fit into the long-term vision for the community?
Well, if you look at it on balance, there are a lot of investments that have gone on in the Nauck neighborhood over the last 15 years or so. I was fortunate to be a part of the planning process for many of them, and quite frankly, you never knew when those were going to happen. And so, you know, what we're looking at are, in the aggregate, you know, a new investment in a spray ground for a park in Nauck. We've had market rate housing and affordable housing developed along the same time, vast improvements along Shirlington Road to add some retail in addition to the housing. And then, of course, we've had some very recent public conversations about investments in the Nauck Town Square, which is going to have some wonderful interpretive history and art. And then in Jenny Dean Park in Nauck as well, where we're going to have a substantial renovation of or replacement of all of the existing facilities, modernizing them, making them environmentally sustainable, and also probably making the park a better neighbor to both Nauck and Shirlington through some upgraded lighting and other things. So substantial things going on in Nauck that are pretty impressive.
And I think one of the things that's exciting is that these uses all really complement and enhance each other. Actually, not entirely unlike what we were just talking about in Crystal City. When we also took an action that actually required us to amend our zoning ordinance to allow ourselves the very flexibility that we then turned around and exercised on setbacks, et cetera, to enable this pool. And as we thought about that and kind of community appropriateness, the fact that Nauck is an area is home to not only this pool, but to so many other compatible civic uses. Well, that makes good planning sense in very literal ways. For example, the fact that it's Macedonia's Baptist Church will be the owner and manager of this pool, as well as the church, as well as the facility that a relatively new speaking preschool. All in that same block, it allows them to manage the parking better, liaise with the community better. So even those kind of very literal planning ways, these uses are compatible. And then, of course, in terms of building a community, right? The opportunity for churchgoers to be part of this community facility in the pool, the opportunity for kids at the preschool to learn to swim, the opportunities for families to come for a baseball game and swim lessons on the same day. It's just, you really see the opportunity for people to build their lives around the institutions in their community, and that's exactly what we're trying to do.
And Nauck has such a rich history here in Arlington. To see the community benefits in Nauck grow. And I can't wait to see how the Nauck Town Square project finishes up. I've heard so much about some of the history projects that are going along with it and the art going along with that project. It's going to be interesting to see that come in the future.
And you know, one thing we didn't even mention was the major civic institutional facility there, Drew School, which is soon going to become a neighborhood school again. And with this pool online, it's going to be it's probably going to become the elementary school in closest proximity to a pool where potentially there could be some partnerships. So all sorts of interesting things that are afoot.
All right, well, we will wait and see. We're going to take a short break right now, and when we return, we'll take a look at the county manager's recommendations for closing up the fiscal year 2018 budget and what's on the board members' minds as they look ahead to fiscal year 2020 budget. Stay with us.